Exactly. The people with issues out there need questions.
Issues.
Left off on number 10.
All right, we're starting with number 10, left off from yesterday, and we are simplifying radicals.
No.
All right, everybody put a big old radical symbol, and then try to break up 128 into two numbers where one of them is from our list. Okay, yeah, guys, grab your calculators and start dividing. Smartest thing you can do. Divide by 4, 9, 16, 25. We don't 25 is what, 36.
Oh,
Can you notice?
I'd go radical 64 times 2.
Dude, you are a genius. If you can, guys, and then I know there's some people going 4 times something,
32.
right? 4 times 32. It's going to take you a couple steps to get there. If the biggest perfect square in there is 64.
And then with the variables, I want x squared, y to the 6y, z to the 10.
Nice. Question to you, Kevin. I asked this to Alex Olson earlier. How many perfect squares are in underneath that radical sign right now?
Well, I'd say, the 64 would be, yeah, and then I'd go x squared minus 6 and then, is it 2? 4. Okay, we'll go 4.
We're going 4, okay? This is a perfect square. Kev, that's a perfect square. That's a perfect square. That's a perfect square.
You bet your peanut butter.
This is not a perfect square, and this is not a perfect square. So what I want you to do next, Kev, is square root those 4 things
Alright.
and give me the final answer.
Okay. I don't know what to do with our old friend Z.
Here's my question. What's the square root of z to the 10th? Guys, what's the trick on finding the square root of variables with exponents?
Divide by 2.
Divide what by 2? Divide the exponent by 2. Of course. So, final answer. Let's go, Kev. We got a lot to do.
Oh. 8xy cubed z to the 5th radical 2y.
Done. Genius. Okay. 8xy cubed z to the 5th radical 2y. Capiche?
Wait,
Go ahead.
how do you figure out if you have to keep going?
Great question. Look at the 2
Oh,
and make the decision. Can I multiply 2 things together and make 2 where one of them is from our list? No, the first number from our list is 4 that we deal with. We don't deal with 1. Right? Even though it's a perfect square, it doesn't help us.
Oh, so if you did 432 in the beginning, you have to do
We'd have to keep going, right? This 32's got a 16 in it.
We had a couple with
do we have to put the z in? The z in.
I would think, that's a great question. I think the x and the z to the 5th have absolute value symbols around them because they were evens that came out as odds. The x and the z to the 5th have to have absolute value symbols around them.
and the y in the middle.
we had a couple
Oh, and the y? No, because the y was originally to the 7th. Look at the original, not once you broke it up. Because if you did it when they broke it up, all of them would be like that because you always break them up to an even number. So don't put absolute values around your y cubed because it was not an even exponent to begin with.
All
right.
Mark us off on the test if we don't do
No, you guys are not going to get penalized for absolute value symbols.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, I just want you to, when you go to algebra 2, it's going to be important
we
you
had a
guys know.
couple radical 60s and
All right, negative a, guys, just going to be out at the beginning to negative a. Everybody break up 60x to the 9th into our little, everything that we need to break it up into. Briggs.
4 times 15, x to the 8 times x.
That's actually excellent. Genius. Go ahead.
2x to the, oh, should I just
Yeah.
tell the answer?
Yeah.
2x to the 4th minus a.
Minus?
X.
Are you kidding me? What's that in negative a doing though? It's multiplying. So you got your 2 that came out. You did a great job pulling your 2 and your x to the 4th out, but it's going to multiply by all that stuff. So I'm going to go negative 2a x to the 4th radical
15x.
15x. Guys, that is not minus. Don't give me crud like that. Minus. Does that make sense, Briggs?
Yes.
You were the man.
Sensei.
All right. Now we can multiply radicals together. We did a couple examples like this.
Radical
Let's do this. Then we can do the process backwards to multiply radicals together to 8 times the radical 8 times radical 12 equals radical 96, and then we would simplify that. Okay? Miss Perillo talks about squashing the two radicals together and then pulling them back out apart. Watch what we mean here.
Boy, that sounds fun.
Okay? What's radical 8 times radical 10? Radical 80. Do I box that and say we're done?
Yes, if you want.
No, you'd be wrong. Kev, what would we have to do with radical 80?
You'd have to break it up.
Simplify it.
Baby!
Okay? Everybody, find two numbers that multiply to make 80. That's from our list.
24.
20 and 4.
420. That's what I was thinking.
Nice.
What were you thinking?
All right, simplify that part, Nico. You're doing great.
2 radical 20.
Nice. Over to Sean Sidaro,
Uh-oh.
because he had the question. Are we done?
No.
Why not?
Okay. 4.
Because 4 goes into 20. You have to do it again.
What was the bigger one?
Hold that thought. Don't try to find it. Just listen. What times what makes 20? Sean, we're ones from our list.
4 times 5.
Okay. And what is the square root of 4, Sean?
2.
Pull that out.
4 to the 5th.
Don't say it the right way, dude.
4 to the radical 5. Or radical 5.
Ah,
Then you gotta multiply that.
dang it.
4, radical 5.
What was the bigger one?
Hey, stop. Look at the 4.
Oh.
What was the bigger perfect square?
16 and 5.
16. If you get to the end, you could have done 80 is really 16 times 5. Okay, a bigger perfect square, which would have got us 4 radical 5 right off the bat.
So you're looking for the biggest perfect square.
You're looking for the biggest perfect square. Yes, I would do it that way. All right, we're kind of hurting for time, guys. Let's go right, and you guys we've done a couple of these already. Let's go right to 14. Again, you'll need calculators here because I have no idea what 18 times 30 is, and I really don't care.
242.
No, wait, not even close.
540.
540? Radical 540. All right. Not a fun one to simplify. Okay, this might take us a couple steps.
It's got to be an even perfect square. I'm going to guess 64.
Divide 540 by 64 on your calculator, Sean.
Got 36 times.
Kevin.
No, 8.43.
Doesn't work out. Go smaller.
36.
Divide by 36.
36 and 15.
Is it 36 and 15?
Yeah.
Nice. Square root 36, cube on, final answer.
6, radical 15.
6 radical 15. Sean, look at radical 15. Can we simplify it anymore?
There's some squeezy
Huh?
stuff.
How do you know?
Because you know, none of those
Done. Okay. Hey, big old star here, guys. This middle step needs to be happening. You will get more of them right. Write it out. All right, next page. You guys are doing awesome.
What's 13? 8 radical 6.
Sounds right to me. All right, what if they put a coefficient in front of your radical?
No solution.
Oh. Really? You cannot say that for everything.
Just skip the question.
Yeah, skip them. Finally, we can multiply radicals with coefficients in front of them. How? Well, it's very easy. Multiply the coefficients and then multiply the radicals. Duh. Radical 3 radical 2 times 4 radical 10 equals 12 radical 20.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Equals
Pretty cool.
48.
Now, what do you have to do with radical 20? Hey, do not start simplifying 12. That's kids do. They pull 4 out of it. Is there a square root symbol over that 12?
Heck no.
No. Don't do it. Just deal with the 20. So 12 radical. What's radical 20 broken up? Or one of them is a perfect square from our list. 5 and 4. Okay? And then the square root of 4 is, what do you do with the 2 that comes out and the 12 that's already there? Multiply it. Final answer, Briggs.
24 radical 5.
Sean, can you simplify it anymore?
No.
No. Radical 5 is radical 5. Does that make sense to you now?
Yeah.
You were the man. Try the next couple. Go. Melitza, first step.
30, right?
Let her do it.
9.
I can understand why.
30 radical 45.
30, radical 45. Everybody there?
Yeah.
Can we simplify radical 45?
I don't think so.
9
Yeah.
times
9 and 5, very good. And then what's the square root of 9, Melissa?
3.
What do you do with the 3 that comes out the 30 you already have there? Times. Final answer. Really? You're going to type 30 times 3 into your calculator. 90 radical 5. Okay, I would expect 30 times 3 you do in your head. 30, 60, 90. 3 times 3 is 9 with a 0. Lots of tricks. Melissa, you're way too smart for that. All right. Can't simplify radical 5. Done. What about a negative sign? Oh, no big deal. It's outside the radical, which can't be inside. We couldn't do it if it was inside.
No solution to those inside.
It would be
Simplify.
no. We would no. You guys are gonna learn how to simplify. I don't think you're gonna learn how to simplify.
Is there gonna be
addition.
on the
You
test?
guys, I've been lying to you guys all year. We're not gonna do negative square roots. We're not gonna do imaginary numbers. I don't think we're gonna get to them. Chupinski, first step.
Is there gonna be one on the test?
What?
5, 24,
Let's go. Tell me it. Ooh, oh yeah, this is the one that kids were all bent out of shape on this one last period. What? Can we simplify the square root of 144?
Yes,
Yes.
36 and 4.
Oh my god.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's right.
Mental initiative.
It's already a perfect square.
144 is a perfect square. It's the whole thing is from the list. What is the square root of 144?
12.
What do you do with the 12 and the negative 14?
Multiply.
Final answer. Negative, what was the number, guys? I don't even know.
168.
168?
I wanted to explain
Radical
it.
6.
Oh, so
No.
12 with 12. It's already.
Hey, why did this one work out evenly?
It is perfect.
Because it was a perfect square.
So every time you have a perfect square.
I like this, yeah. 36 times 4. Square root of 36, Sean.
That's what I did.
Yeah, Sean.
I mean, Kevin. 36.
Oh, 6.
Square root of 4.
16.
I think you're just saying random numbers.
It's 2.
I thought you were asking me 6 times.
The square.
No, it'd be 6 times 2.
Okay, whatever.
It would be 12 times the negative 14. So yes, sometimes they can work out evenly. All right, variables in there, no big deal.
Wait, will we get like problems with negative sign in the middle of the test? Or
In the middle?
In the radical.
That's what I teach it to you.
We're going to learn that.
24, radical, 50, x to the
Fifth,
5th,
Alex.
not to the 6th. 24. Mr. Henry, break up 50, x to the 5th, please. You should be writing this out. Did not mean to wake you up, Henry. He was dead asleep.
24, 25, 2,
25 and 2, excellent.
x to the 4th, x.
Nice, x to the 4th x. Take the square root of the two perfect squares, and then don't forget to multiply that by 24. If you need to use your calculator, do it. Calculator.
120,
Nice.
x squared, 2x.
Radical. Say radical.
Radical 2x.
Radical 2x. Look at that. Guys, you can do this stuff.
I got it.
Okay? That's the next one. This 19 was almost exactly like 17, so we're not going to do it. We're going to get to day 2 stuff here in a minute, but Olson, talk me through 18.
5 radical 18c squared, and then you got 9 and 2 c squared still, and then 15 radical 2c squared.
You didn't simplify your c squared. It's a c squared is a perfect square.
Oh yeah, 15 c on the outside,
Exactly.
and then 2.
Radical 2. How many people got 15c, radical 2?
Got it.
You guys can do this stuff. All right, you guys, is that the end of your notes here?
Yeah.
All right, for day 2. We're not going to do the last one. Save some time. Go ahead, Nico.
It's like 10 radical 1. Is that just 10?
This is literally.
Because what's the square root of 1, Nico? Times 10. You gotta simplify. You cannot leave your answer 10 radical 1. Because that's simplified. Oh yeah. Nico, that's the same answer I have to you as, and I've never seen kids do this, don't be the kid that does it to me. When the answer to a problem is 6, and they write, the answer is 5 plus 1. Do not do that to me. But it's still the same.
Has anybody done that?
No, no one's ever done
They should write like
If
a
you mark it wrong,
that. Yes, I'll mark it wrong.
So you write 6 over 1?
a whole expression. Like,
No, it's not simplified all the way. You know?
6.
Guys, that right there is the reason why we math teachers expect you guys to simplify everything, because kids could put all kinds of crazy numbers,
6.00.
you know, for their answers, or they write 3 times 2 is the answer. Still 6.
3 squared minus 3.
Right, 3 squared minus 3. Now they get really crazy.
3 times 2 over 1.
You know,
Yeah.
all kinds of stupid stuff. So that's why we simplify. This is 6 is the answer. Write 6. Briggs.
Why was number 16 like
16. Okay. Why was it what?
it didn't have a radical?
The answer is
Okay.
416.
Can somebody-
divided by
Because it was a
7
perfect square.
Do you agree that it was negative 14 square root of 144?
Square root of 144.
Do you agree that when you multiplied your two pieces together, you got negative 14
Oh,
radical 144? Okay. What's the square root of 144? Works out evenly. 12 times negative 14 is negative 168, and there is no radical left. That make sense? All right, let's do day 2, guys.
I used 36 and 4 for that.
I know you did. That's fine. All right, now, do you guys know what you cannot have? What's something with fractions, but more specifically,
Imaginary numbers.
besides imaginary numbers.
Decimals.
Okay, you cannot have square roots in the denominator. It's against the law. Where's the denominator at? Bottom. Square roots in the bottom. Ixnay on the square root say.
In the sum.
All right, when you simplify fractions that are within radicals, you must, they call it rationalize. One of the greatest words of all time. You can spell it, more power to you. Rationalize the denominator. Okay, you can do this by using the quotient property. QU. Oh, I can never spell quotient. QUO.
TIENT.
TIENT. Quotient property of square roots. Okay? And all the quotient property says to do is if you have the square root of a fraction, you break up your square root and do square root of the top over square root of the bottom.
It only makes sense.
Okay? And I know you guys will do that a lot. All right, here's the deal. First thing you need to ask yourself when you look at these things to rationalize your denominator. Is the bottom a perfect square?
On A and yes.
B,
Yes.
C.
Yes and yes and yeah.
Guys, look at all of them. The bottom is a perfect square on all of them.
Not on D and E and
Or
Oh yeah, we're going to do the other ones. So, you will probably skip this step, or you will write this step, what I'm about to write down, in your first step. That's actually, guys, when I see this problem, I see radical 5 over radical 81. So if I see a square root of a fraction, I use that quotient property, and break it up. Now, can we simplify the square root of 5?
No.
What do you think?
No.
No, we can't. So how about square root of 81?
Yeah.
What is it?
9.
What's the answer?
9 radical. 5 radical. Actually, no. Radical 5 over
45
radical.
over 9.
Olson? Not over radical 9?
3 radical.
Over 9. Over 9. Look how I did that.
Why'd you put a square root in the other one?
Great question. Why do I have a square root of the 5 and not the 9? You didn't
No.
simplify.
The 81 and the 5. You have them on both. Doesn't really matter. It's the same problem.
The property up there says if you have a square root of fraction, you can break it up and put the square root symbol on both numbers. And that's what I did. That makes sense to me.
Except we could skip that one. I could do that on both sides.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You could skip this step if you want to.
Skip 5.
You're smart enough to do that also. Maybe not, I don't know.
Maybe.
All right, try that next one, guys. Split it up first and then simplify each part. I'll give you guys a big hint. The top can be simplified as well. Radical 25y over radical x squared. Simplify the top, simplify the bottom, Aaron, what do you think the answer is?
Radical 5y over x.
Not radical.
You didn't say. I think you wrote it wrong. You just can't. You're not saying it right yet.
That's right.
He said radical 5y over x.
You don't need the radical.
Would it be 5 radical
It'd be, yeah, you didn't say it. It's
Yeah.
5 radical y over x.
Oh yeah, 5.
Right? I think you had the right answer, Aaron. I just don't think you said it right. 5 radical y over x. That's simplified. Notice we have no radicals in the denominator. That's the bad thing we cannot end up with. And we're going to rationalize our denominator. Next one, let's go.
I know.
Sidaro, do C.
Okay,
And say it right.
so should I do like the first step?
Radical? Yeah, I'll do that for you now. Final answer.
Okay, so we got radical 13 over 8.
Done. You're the man. Easy? All right, next one. Break it up. Does anybody recognize? Can the top be simplified?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Simplify the top.
I got it.
Radical 75 over radical 16t squared. Try it. The bottom is a perfect square, people, so
Oh, got it.
we know. Does everybody agree that radical 75 is 25 times 3? Look for that perfect
Got
square.
it. Kevin's got it.
Okay.
Kevin's got it.
Go ahead, Kev. Quickly, we got a lot to do.
Is it 5 radical 3 over 14?
Beautiful. 5 radical 3 over 14. Does everybody agree with that? Can't simplify radical 3. Okay? So we're simplifying this stuff. Second thing I want you guys to look for is, can you reduce your fractions first?
Oh.
On all these, we can reduce our fractions by some number and make our lives a lot easier. What's the, since they're both under the radical symbol, 75 and 15, we can reduce them. Okay?
15 over 3, which is
5.
Okay, but what are we going to have?
Radical 5.
Radical 5. Because 75 divided by 15 is 5. Radical 5. And then, is there a radical in the denominator? No? Is it simplified all the way? Yes? We're done. Even if they're both out two separate radicals, you could make them like one radical. And divide. Is 90 divisible by 5? Yes. Do it.
18.
18. What do you need above it, Nico? Radical 18. Do not
break it down.
Do not box it because it is not done yet.
No,
Have recognized right away. Always look to simplify it, Sean.
Radical 2.
18 is 9 times 2.
3 radical.
3 radical 2.
Don't think so.
Guys, radical 90 divided by radical 5 is really 3 radical 2.
Cool.
Interesting. On weekends, that's what I do is simplify radicals. I go out with my buddies and we sit around Starbucks and simplify radicals. You guys all have issues. Next one, let's go. They're both radicals. Divide them first, simplify them first, and then let's try to simplify the radical first. Henry, first step.
It's radical 5x squared.
Nice. 25x cubed over 5x would be 5x. And then can we simplify it?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
X radical 5x.
I don't think there's an x in there anymore. In the radical, right?
Yeah.
Because the square root of x squared is just x. It's no longer in there. It's x radical 5. And guys, oh, this one, definitely not absolute value symbols because the original problem was not even comes out as a not.
Wait, so wait, how'd you get x squared?
Okay, what's great question.
Is it just minus?
Henry, loud and proud, explain to Al how you got x squared from the,
You subtract 1.
when you divide with the same base, you subtract your exponents. Start calling you accelerated boy. All right, next one. 147 and 48. Can that be reduced by anything?
3.
Heck no.
3 is 49.
I know.
What?
3 is 49.
Oh, 3. Well, you got to reduce them though. So what number goes into both 147 and 48 that we can reduce them by?
Oh,
3. Everybody grab your calculators and divide them by 3, and then subtract your x's.
49 over
49 over, and then x to the 4th over 16. Ooh, that whole thing is a perfect square.
Yeah.
49 x to the 4th over 16 is all a perfect square. Square root all 3 pieces. Okay, cannot have a square root in the bottom. And the square root of 16 we know. Somebody give me the final answer. Henry, you're the man today.
7x squared over 4.
7x squared over 4. Nice job. So you're going to have to reduce your fractions a little bit.
So if they both have, or if you take the square root of both of them, then they don't have a square root. Like some of them
You
have
do
two.
mean, Gus? Lisa?
Some of them don't, you can't simplify some of them,
Say the sprinkler.
but some of them work out evenly. All right. Hold that thought, though, Al. I think I know where you're going with that. All right, last page. Let's try to rationalize the denominators. This is the fun stuff.
Sure.
Whatever you say, Mr. P. All right. Now, what happens if the denominator is not a perfect square or cannot be simplified?
The answer.
No, you can't say no solution. Something like clearing fractions, but you're not clearing a fraction because you can only do that with when you have an equation. All right. Here's the deal.
Do we graph?
Here's what you're going to do. You're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same radical expression. Believe it or not, guys, you're multiplying by 1 when you do that. I'll get to that in a second. The expression you choose should make the denominator a perfect square. So here's 2 over radical 3. We cannot have that. Can't have a radical in the denominator. Bad, bad, bad. Because the reason is because you can't divide by irrational numbers. Everybody put a dot. You're going to multiply top and bottom by
6.
no, but something over something. But whenever you have the same thing over the same thing, that's really the number 1. Okay? What could I multiply radical 3 by? Focus on the bottom.
3.
You're on the right track, Sadaro.
2.
What could you multiply radical 3 by that would make it a perfect square?
3.
You're not saying it right.
Radical 3.
Radical 3. That's what you're on. Watch. I'm going to multiply the bottom by radical 3. It's kind of like you got to do the same thing to the top because, look, guys, we're multiplying by 1 there. Radical 3 over radical 3 is 1. So we're multiplying by 1. We're not changing in the value of the.
Oh, goody.
What's the top?
2 radical 3.
2 radical 3. Do not multiply those two things together because one's a constant and one's a radical. Over.
Radical 9.
Radical 9. Genius, Olson. I mean, Cubon. Now, what's the square root, Cubon, of 9? 2. Radical 3. Over 3. Can you cancel the 3's?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because it's
One's
radical.
One's radical, one's a whole number. If this 2 was a 3, then you could.
Just write the square root of 3
Who do you
multiplied
know
by 2.
about?
Say again?
Please get the square root of 3 and multiply it by 2.
And then divide by 3?
Yeah.
That'd be the approximation of that. It's an irrational number, so nobody in the world, not even your really smart calculator, Nico, knows the answer to this.
Step 2.
That's the exact answer, people.
Step
Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's go. Hey, what are we going to multiply top and bottom by? Somebody says 10, I'm going to kill them.
Radical 10.
Radical 10. Okay, the 10. No, multiply by radical 10. Top and bottom.
7 radical 10 over.
What?
7x.
70. No, radical 70x. Is that what you said?
You told us not
Yeah, he
to.
told us not to.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you told us not to.
Where did I say not multiply? Oh,
that
they're
one's
both
in
radicals.
the thing.
They're both radicals. You're confused. Guys, that was not a radical, but that 7x is radical 7x. So it is going to be
That was
radical
a bad one to start with.
70x over radical hundo.
Oh yeah, because the bottom they were both radical.
Right, yeah.
The last problem.
Now, see how we did this radical 9 over here, and then we're doing this radical 100 over here? You guys are getting to the point we're going to stop writing that step out because you guys are so good with this stuff. Radical 70x, which cannot be simplified, over 10. And you no longer have a radical in the denominator, and we rationalized the denominator. Aaron.
Only
You
you
can
can
simplify.
complete
No,
the
you can't.
square.
That's what kids, they tried to do that last period, Aaron. They went, well, didn't you divide them both by, it's radical 7x over 1. Why can you not do that in this problem?
Yeah.
Is it 10
There's
times
a radical sign.
Because there's no radical on the 10. So that's the answer.
But if
I thought
Good
it was one in high school.
you know how you said if that 2 was a 3, then you could cancel them out in the last
Wait, what's
problem.
wrong?
Yes, 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 yes.
Well, what if they're both in the radical?
Then you can reduce them, right? If they're both on the radical or they're both not in the radical, then you can simplify.
So that last problem should be 2.
Let's go.
Oh.
What?
Because like if that 2 is a 3, then
Well, this one we're going to be able to do it. Trust me on that. What are we going to multiply top and bottom by, guys?
Radically.
More than that, because there's variables in the
T.
bottom. You're going to multiply top and bottom by radical 18t over radical 18t. Trust me on that.
you just always do the denominator.
You always do the denominator radical. Anybody know what the bottom's going to be without any work?
324.
Oh, do not touch your calculator, dude. You cannot use your calculator on this stuff.
What?
To get final answers, Nico, you're like typing them in. I want exact answers.
Radical t squared.
324.
Guys, what's the bottom going to be?
Radical t squared.
No.
T squared.
Radical 32, 324.
No.
3
T
radical
squared.
2.
No.
Radical Kevin.
The bottom.
1. T squared.
T squared.
What's radical 18t times radical 18t?
324 T squared.
Radical of that.
324 T squared.
What's the square root of radical 300, whatever Cuban said, t squared?
18T.
18t.
Like 3 people said that.
Yeah, really.
18.
AT&T.
What was 18 times 18, Alex?
324.
320
4.
t squared. Guys, if you want to write that out, you can. But trust me, we're doing this to get rid of radicals. So if we're going to multiply a radical by itself, it's just going to be the stinking thing without a radical symbol. Now, the top is, what's 5 times 18?
90.
Thank you.
Radical 90.
Radical 90t. Does everybody agree with that?
Done.
Now, we're not done. Because what do we have to do to the top, Sean? You have to do something to it.
You have to
Simplify.
Simplify it. Sean, give me something, 2 numbers that multiply together that make 90. Well, one of them is from our list. 9 and 10. Very good. And then t, we're not going to be able to simplify the t because it's not being squared. And Sean, what's the square root of 9? That comes out radical 10t over 18t.
You're not done.
No, we're not done yet.
What? Oh, man.
We're getting to the last. This will be the last one we're doing today.
That's it for the problem.
What do you do now?
And simplify.
9 and
3
2.
and the 18 are both constants,
You
so
can't.
we can. What number goes into both 3 and 18?
3.
How many times?
6.
So I'm going to cancel them by 1 and 6. Final answer is radical 10t. You do not have to have that coefficient of 1 out there. Over 6t. Can we cancel the t's?
No.
Why not?
This one is radical.
One is
Guys,
Kevin.
Look at me. Show lots of work.